There is this special moment in coffee cupping. Coffee cupping is the professional tasting process we all use. It's sort of a semi-scientific sensory analysis. Anyway, you add the coffee grounds to the cup, and you add water to the cup, and you take a sniff, and you enjoy, and you take a note. And then there's this moment where you break the crust of wet grounds with a spoon, and you lean in and smell that aroma. It's where you get this hit of jasmine or blueberry or deep chocolate. It lasts seconds. It's fleeting. It is totally sensory, and it is absolutely unnecessary for the sustenance of human life. But man, I feel sorry for anybody who tries to get through without pausing for those few seconds. Pleasure isn't the meal. It's the seasoning, and I'm learning to stop feeling guilty for tasting it. I'm Nick Walton. I'm a coffee roaster, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I've got a cold, and I'm still recording podcasts. I can't stop thinking about the invisible scripts that run our lives. You're listening to The Values Sort. This is a field guide to the values that shape the patterns of thinking and behaviors that end up shaping our entire lives. This is essay number 12, Pleasure. Let's talk about pleasure, and let's talk about the values categories listed on top of each card. This is the first one that is listed under hedonism, a word which many might be unfamiliar with. You may have noticed that each of the cards we're talking about have a value category on top. There are 10 total categories we'll work our way through with a varying number of concepts under each. This hedonism category contains just 3 cards, and I'll drop all 3 explorations today. They're linked, as all of the values are, but these in particular seem complex and difficult for me to even hold in my hands, so we're going to rip this bandaid off together. Hedonism is defined as a philosophy holding that pleasure is the highest good and proper aim of human life. Now, how do we feel about that? Personally, I don't hold to this philosophy. As may be evident in some of my previous essays, I certainly don't feel like the gratification of my own hedonistic desires is the chief aim of humankind. I hope not. But the question is about pleasure. Do I value it? Do you value it? I've already established that I believe that a life in service of others is a life worth living. I ascribe very deeply to that idea. So is this in contradiction to a value for pleasure? I'm a professional pleasure dealer. I roast and sell coffee for a living, a substance with no particularly redeeming qualities beyond pleasure. People like to think of themselves as addicts. But in truth, if it all disappeared tomorrow, we'd be okay. We really would, you guys. We'd rediscover chicory root or black tea. We'd grow our own mint leaves. Here's my industry secret. Nobody needs this crap. Nobody needs what I sell. Pastries, lattes, sugar and spice. But I do it anyway, because it brings small joy to people's lives. I've written about this before in other forums, so my apologies if this is reheated information for you. I call it my kitchen floor moment. It's pithy phrasing maybe, but it's a moment I've talked about a lot. In 2013, we opened Chrysalis Coffee House, which later rebranded Flag and Wire Coffee. We were living 2 counties away from the shop when we opened it. We had what we thought were good reasons for being so far away, but that was my situation. Every morning I'd wake up, I'd silently say goodbye to my sleeping wife and my 3 baby children. My eldest would have been about 4, 5 when we opened our doors. My wife stayed home with them, changing diapers and wiping up messes as I drove the long road to open the shop at 7 a.m. each morning. We had a pathetic revenue picture. One day in January, which is traditionally a pretty slow time of year anyway, I returned home from a day in which we had done a total of $82 in revenue in the coffee shop. This is not a living. I entered the house and I found my wife crying on the kitchen floor because we were so very poor and so very locked into our situation. I sat down with her and I cried myself. We had used a point-of-sale system with an online portal, so my life and business partner could watch intently throughout the day as our numbers didn't climb. We sat together on the kitchen floor, certain that we'd made many wrong choices in our lives that brought us to the position we were in, and she asked me this question: "Are you even passionate about coffee anymore?" I was not, but I knew I should be. The problem I didn't understand yet is that I'd never been passionate about coffee. Ever. It's probably a story for another time, but I didn't even enter the coffee industry on purpose. It was very much something we backed our way into. There's not a lot of cash involved in this business. Even now, many years later, I am a profoundly blessed man, but not exceptionally flush with cash money, honey. The people who choose this industry generally choose it because of passion for the product and process, and I don't care particularly about either. And that seemed at the time like a problem. I did my best for a lot of years to convince myself and others that I had what it took to be passionate about coffee. But I don't. I confessed there on the kitchen floor to my wife, but mostly to myself, that I wasn't passionate enough about coffee. But we didn't have any other options, so it took me a while to realize that it was really the people that I could get on board with, that I could be passionate about. And people, it turns out, love coffee. It gives them pleasure, and that gives me pleasure. Hedonism at work in my life. To eat a meal quickly is efficient. To savor the meal is pleasurable. And we have but one life for sure. It's impossible to know what comes next, and don't listen too closely to anyone who says otherwise. I am trained personally to avoid pleasure for my own self and guard it for others. Now, what's that about, I wonder? What if we reframed the word pleasure to savoring, enjoying, maintaining even? And what if we swapped the word hedonism for delight? Delight yourselves in the one wild and precious life that was made for living. Service is a part of living, that's for sure. It's a big part that I have a high value for. But reflecting on my recent essay on self-respect and self-doubt, I see that personal maintenance is also a key to a life of service. And part of that is pleasure in the end. The goal, I suppose, is to live a life and find pleasure where we may without stepping on others in the process. Can we do it? Can we observe and enjoy pleasurable experiences in our lives without them coming at the expense of the poor, the broken, or the marginalized? God, I hope so. If I'm honest, I'm still a little suspicious about pleasure. Pleasure seems carnal and base, but I think probably that's a piece of my upbringing speaking. I would actually like to explore a value for pleasure and explore the things that delight me. I'm not good at that. Let me think. What do I enjoy? I'll make a list. Sometimes that's helpful. I enjoy time with my wife. In this season of our lives, dates are few and far between. Time together is something that doesn't feel productive on some level, but I think it actually is. I do enjoy spending time with my kids. I can do that often if I'm intentional about it. It gives me great pleasure to watch them grow, to watch them change and grow and develop as genuine humans. When they were young, I took great delight in them asking me silly questions, in taking them for haircuts, in their little butt cracks hanging out of the top of a diaper. But now everything's so different, and I know I need to continue finding pleasure in who they have become. I do enjoy hard work on sunny days. My laziness gets the better of me, though, and I spend time indoors instead. Even on a cloudy, overcast day, even when it's chilly and wet outside in my beloved Willamette Valley, if I can break the gravitational pull of my warm chair and go outside, I am generally rewarded with rosy cheeks and a reminder that I'm alive. I'll tell you, I enjoy this values exercise very much. I'm writing these essays and learning so much more about myself with each one. I'm getting a better sense of how I might keep exploring. It gives me great pleasure when I'm able to sit with someone while they discover something new about themselves. And I'll tell you something else I love. This one's just sort of a bonus. This one's the secret sauce on top. I love marrying people. Several years ago, I got ordained on the internet to marry people. Twice. First, I was ordained by the Universal Life Church. After I received my credentials, I learned about the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and I got ordained there too. You're reading the words, you're listening to the words of an ordained spaghetti minister. I'm not trying to brag. I married some good friends of mine who have remained close friends. I spoke from my heart about things that I'd gathered up that mattered to them, and it was, for me, a deeply meaningful experience with their friends and family in the hills. I love them, I love their parents, I love their families, and now I love their children. They are a source of pleasure for me. A couple of years later, an employee, nay, a friend of mine, asked me to marry he and his fiancée. This time we all went quietly, just about 10 of us, to a meadow in the ash trees, and I said the kindest things I could come up with, and at the end of it they were married. I love marriage. I love commitment between two people. It's a beautiful choice, and it's a deep honor to be witness to it. So tell me what you value about pleasure. The next few cards all have hedonism printed atop them. This should be an interesting experience.